My master safe. The scriptures sound. This is the opening line spoken by Sun Wukong in the game Black Myth Wukong, but it might leave you a bit confused. Who is Sun Wukong and the master? Why does his safety matter? And what exactly are the scriptures? And who are these mysterious giant figures hunting him down? Are they all here for a reason? Hi everyone, I'm Han Ling. I grew up watching The Journey to the West. Now with the Black Myth Wukong bringing this legendary tale to life, I couldn't be more excited to share with you guys with all the epic stories and the rich culture behind it. Now let's get started. Black Myth Wukong isn't just a retelling of The Journey to the West at all, but an adaptation. So in this video, I'm going to explore the main plot of the original story and delve into the backstory of the game Asura, an extension grounded in the original framework of Journey to the West, whose creators are actually the co-founders of Game Science, the team behind the Black Myth Wukong. Asura explores the more unsettling aspects of the story and carries forward the darker elements. Because in Chinese, the word black not only signifies the color black, but also conveys the meaning of darkness, aligning closely with the narrative of Black Myth Wukong. The core plot of Journey to the West. It is an epic adventure. Wukong and his master and his companions travel to the West to retrieve the sacred scriptures and bring them back to spread Buddhism in the Tang Dynasty. On the surface, it feels like an inspiring tale of overcoming challenges and striving for enlightenment. But there's a lot more going on beneath the surface. Journey to the West was written by Wu Cheng'en during the Ming Dynasty, and the conflict between Buddhism and Taoism was one of the most prominent during that era, even reflecting in the bureaucratic politics of the time. Having this context of the historical background, let's dive into the backstory of Asura. The world begins with the creation of the universe by the ancient goddess Nuwa. In the beginning, only gods existed. However, these gods soon discovered a terrifying truth. Every 120 million years, their life force, called will, would be depleted, leading to their deaths. Will is vital energy that sustains the gods, and without it, they face inevitable extinction. But they discovered a way to restore their will by consuming a special fruit known as pantao, peaches of immortality. If this sounds familiar, that's because in the game, when you defeat Yao Guai, you gain their will, symbolized by a peach icon. As the gods compete for control over the precious peaches, a great divide occurred. The Buddha, known as Rulai Fozu, Tathagata, led a group of gods westward to establish the Western Buddhist faction, while the gods who stayed in the east, led by Taishang Laojun, Supreme Laozi, a Taoism deity, hoarded the peaches and controlled their distribution. But tensions over the unequal distribution led to a rebellion within the eastern gods. A group of them sought to overthrow Taishang Laojun, but they failed. As punishment, Taishang Laojun drained their will and turned them into Jingdan, the immortal pills, before banishing them to earth. Without their memories and immortality, they became mere humans with short lifespans. Among those exiled gods was a warrior known as Niu Mo Wang, Bull Demon King. Unlike the others, he retained his memory because, being a bull, he regurgitated Taishang Laojun's portion. This allowed him to rediscover how to absorb will from the nature. He shared this knowledge with the animals around him, and over time, many of them learned to cultivate their own will, eventually transforming into Yao Guai, which is the human-like monsters. Now you see why, in the game, killing Yao Guai grants you will. Meanwhile, some gods refused to be controlled and left the heavens altogether, becoming free spirits known as Xian, immortals. Those immortals traveled across the world, avoiding the power struggles of the gods. And at the same time, the humans, despite their short lives, multiplied rapidly. And soon, they vastly outnumbered the gods. The Western Buddhist faction discovered that, by spreading their teachings to humans, they could gather will through their faith of their followers. As the human population exploded, this became a crucial source of power for the gods, and it kicked off a fierce competition between the gods of the East and the West to gain control over human followers. Then something unexpected happened. The Buddha's greatest disciple, Jing Chanzi, rejected the idea of controlling living beings for their will. He began to question the very foundation of Buddhist teachings and even sought to free all beings from the control of the gods and the Buddhas. At the same time, a stone monkey, born with extraordinary spiritual power and combat abilities, emerged. This was Sun Wukong. He led the monsters in rebellion against the heavens, sparking a long and devastating war between gods and Yao Guai. Jing Chanzi made a bet with Buddha, claiming that Sun Wukong would break free of the gods' control. But in the end, Wukong was defeated and imprisoned under Wuzhishan, 5 Fingers Mountain. Jing Chanzi, in protest, destroyed his own Buddha form and was reborn as a human. And now the story truly begins. 500 years later, a monk from the Eastern Tang Dynasty named Xuanzang, who is the reincarnation of Jing Chanzi, sent by the Tang Dynasty Emperor Li Shiming, and embarks on a journey to the West in search of the ultimate truth of the world and the meaning of life. But the gods and the Buddhas, determined to prevent humanity from awakening and to retain control over will, they ensured that Wukong is saved by Xuanzang from the Wuzhishan, the 5 Fingers Mountain, and then protect Xuanzang on the journey to the West as his disciple. Along with Zhu Bajie Pixie, Sha Wujing Sandy, and Bai Long Ma, the white dragon horse. In Buddha's plan, the journey had 2 main purposes: to spread Buddhism and get the will from human followers, and, ultimately, for Wukong and his companions to achieve the Buddha form and claim loyalty to it, so the Buddha have control over them. In the end, Xuanzang and his disciples completed their journey, and all of them attained Buddhahood. Now back to the game. Those first 2 lines Wukong says are about how he successfully helped his master retrieve the scriptures. So now it all makes sense, right? The events in the game are taking place after they've already completed the journey to the West. But the moment Sun Wukong tries to break free from the control of the gods and return to his mountain to live freely, the heavens send armies after him, because they cannot afford to lose control of him. Years later, a figure known as the Destined emerges, inheriting the will of Wukong. This new hero embarks on the journey once more, seeking to restore Sun Wukong's memories, uncover the truth hidden by the gods and Buddhas, and find the meaning of life. Now you know who's Wukong and his master, and what the scriptures are all about. You also understand why the gods launched this attack against Wukong. But there are still many unanswered questions, such as whether the Celestial Cord is currently under Taoism or Buddhism. For example, it has always been ruled by the Taoism, and Erlangshen is a pure-blooded Taoist warrior. Yet, the armor he wears features Buddha image at its center. Also, unlike normal Yao Guai, how the Yao Guai chief came to be in later games. These mysteries will be gradually reviewed and corrected as the story progresses, further expanding on the existing mythology. In the next video, I will continue to share with you who Erlangshen is, and my guess why he shows no emotion at all after defeating Sun Wukong. We will also uncover the secret behind the headband that flashed on Sun Wukong's head, and why does it immediately strip him out of his mobility. Then, the true journey of the Destined begins. Black cloud, red fire. What is really like the corresponding real story of the journey to the West? And how does it tie into the different twists and turns we see in the game?